Hi everyone, it's Jennifer Hoffman of enlighteninglife.com, and in this short video I'm going to talk to you about emotional energy agreements, and how they work on the collective and the individual levels, and what emotions really are. So let's talk about emotions, because we tend to think of emotions as feelings, but emotions are much different than that, and they're actually much more important. Emotions are how we filter energy. So, when we decide, for example, to be happy, we are in a state of emotional being that is happy. We are bringing in and filtering the energy of joy through our decision to have the emotion of happy. Say we decide to have the emotion of angry. So, we bring in energy and we filter that through our emotional energy of anger. Think of how powerful anger is. If you take a situation that makes you really angry, and all of a sudden you get this surge of energy, and now you're furious and you're capable of doing things and saying things that you would never say when you weren't in that state. It's because you've received a lot of energy, you're filtering it through your anger emotion, and you're using that energy to express your anger. So the emotion acts as a filter for the energy that you're receiving. I'll give you an example of a collective emotional energy agreement before kind of describing what they are. So say you're in a romantic relationship with someone, maybe you're in a partnership or you are married. You have an emotional energy agreement between you about the kinds of emotions you're going to have in your relationship. You're going to be loving, romantic, kind, considerate, compassionate, thoughtful. When somebody violates that agreement, now you have a problem. Now you're thinking, wait a minute, you're violating our emotional agreement. We have an agreement to be kind and you're being mean. Or we have an emotional energy agreement to be considerate and you're being inconsiderate and thoughtless. So that disrupts the relationship. So individually, we have those with ourselves, but I'm going to talk about the collective, because what we're seeing with these big energy shifts now is a shift in the emotional energy narrative. So on a collective level, we agree, and we do this very unconsciously, by the way, that there are certain kinds of emotions that are going to govern the way that we collectively interact with each other. We respect emotions like kindness and thoughtfulness and consideration. Look at how many views a cute baby or a cute cat video gets on YouTube or on Facebook. So we have decided collectively that we want to shift that emotional energy. We are not going to tolerate intolerance anymore, or meanness, or control, or domination. Notice control and domination, those are aspects of the 3D paradigm. So all of the higher level emotional energies like kindness, thoughtfulness, consideration, collaboration, community, creativity, those are 5D energies. So as we are shifting from the 3D, pure 3D dynamic to the integrated 3D, 5D ascension paradigm, we are also shifting our collective emotional energy agreements by saying we won't have intolerance, we're going to have tolerance. We won't have anger and hatred, we're going to have peace and acceptance. So this is why there is so much chaos in the world right now. We've seen this with all the this stuff that's going on in the Senate and the Kavanaugh hearings and different things that are going on around the world. Is the forces that want to keep us in 3D energy are inflaming these lower energy, these density emotions, intolerance, hatred, anger, chaos. Those are 3D energies. And what happened this week is we saw events that are purely orchestrated, that were designed to create a massive outpouring of these 3D energy emotions, hatred, intolerance, anger. And instead, what happened is people looked at those and said, no, I don't want to have these energies. I want to have compassion and kindness and truth and justice and peace and joy. So we saw a displacement of the heavy 3D energies into a replacement. And this happened individually within every single person who looked at all the shenanigans that were going on and saying, this is ridiculous. We are not going to tolerate this kind of treatment of people. We are not going to allow this chaos and this anarchy because we don't want that. We want to be over here in the integrated 3D, 5D paradigm that doesn't have those kinds of emotional energies in it. So the war, and we are engaged in a spiritual war, but it's not a guns war, it's an energy war. So we are literally fighting for the shift and for ascension in, on one hand, in our desire to move it forward, so to integrate more of these higher frequency energies and to have the collective emotional agreements that allow for these higher frequency energies to be our emotional state and to be our emotional filters, versus the side that wants to keep 3D in place and intact to keep us in these energies of chaos and hatred and fear. Think of all the dense 3D energies. So the way you're experiencing that in your life is you are seeing things from the past, and I've noticed a lot of things from the past came up. My phone even yesterday sent a message by itself, sent an image that I had sent to someone like 2 years ago, to someone that I no longer speak to. And that was an opportunity for me to kind of revisit the emotions of that situation and maybe clear a few things and get that out of my energy field. And by the way, I use the term energy field, so let me just do a little aside and explain that. Each of us has an energy field. This is a collection of all the energies, all of our energy centers. They are all mirrored in our energy field, and it extends about arm's length, so all the way around you, front to back, top to bottom. So it's like we walk around in a big energy bubble. When you meet someone, when you approach someone, the first thing that happens is your energy fields connect. And you, in that moment, you look at that person and say, wow, I like you. This is cool. You have great energy. Or you say, ooh, I don't like you. Our energy fields aren't calibrated, properly to connect, so I can't connect with you. And that's why you can look at someone and instantly like them or instantly dislike them, because your energy fields have already touched and connected and tried to make that connection, and it either happened or it didn't. So that's the energy field. So we all have the energy field. And what's in your energy field? Your emotional body. So it's what I call the part of the divine trinity. So the divine trinity is the mind and body, because the mind and body work together. The emotions, which is its own energy field, and spirit. So when you are engaging in any kind of emotional activity, which is part of everything you do, you're activating aspects of your energy field. You're also filtering incoming energy downloads through your emotions. How you decide to be emotionally, so what kind of emotional state or frequency you want to be in, is what that filter is going to pass through. It doesn't matter at what frequency or vibration the energy is that's coming in. If you are going to be an angry person, or if you're going to be depressed or sad or miserable, then you are going to filter that energy through your anger, your sadness, and your misery, and that's exactly what you're going to get as an output. So on a collective level, this is happening all across the world. People are looking at the invitation to be still in the 3D density emotions, or the invitation to be in the integrated 3D, 5D emotional level, and they're making their choices. And a lot of people are moving over to the integrated 3D, 5D side. But they're only doing that because the collective energy field has shifted so much that now there's such a gap between the 3D energies and the 5D energies that it's easy to make the choice. Because if you are even approaching that 3D, 5D level, those 3D energies look so horrible, ridiculous, insane to you that the choice is obvious. You cannot be in that emotional state. You want to be over in a higher state. And this is what has made this past week so tumultuous, so chaotic, is because the collective has shifted enough that when you see the density of 3D, the choice is obvious. And it looks bad because the gap between these levels, between these states of being, so, and then they're dimensional states of being, so 3D over here and 5D and above over here, the gap used to be non-existent. There used to be no gap. It was 3D and that was it. You didn't know anything else. But as we have, and probably over the last, I want to say 15 or 20 years, as we have expanded 5D energy, the 5D, the 3D starts to move away, and then the gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And at first it's a little bit noticeable, then it's a lot noticeable. Now you really see the gap between the chaos and the density and the control and domination and greed and power mongering of 3D versus the connection, the collaboration, the community, the creativity of 5D. So our collective energy agreements, the energy that we agree to be in, not just individually, but collectively as the body of humanity, as the family of humanity, has shifted. So that has made the 3D, 5D gap even bigger because now more people are on this other side. So more of 3D is just being pushed out of the picture. So it looks worse and worse and worse. And this is what we're experiencing. So one of the things you can feel in that process is you can find a lot of emotions coming up for you, a lot of stuff from the past, a lot of things you thought you'd forgotten, because your own energy integration is now being augmented, it's being heightened, it's being moved to a higher dimensional level. And any trauma, any grief, any guilt, any sadness, anger, fear, things like that, that you're experiencing is now so separated from where you want to be energetically that it is very, very noticeable and very obvious to you. So you're being challenged to release all these emotions, to detox your energy field. At the same time, the collective is being challenged to do that as well. This past week was a big push, again, by these 3D forces that need 3D to be the dominant energy on the planet, and they've lost. They had already lost. So we have already won on the 3D, 5D ascension integration side. But as I've said before, they're not going to give up without a fight. So they are going to push their 3D agenda and keep on pushing it and try and bring the collective energy agreement back down to 3D. That's why these explosions of things happen, because they want to coerce, and that's the word that I'm coming up with, they want to coerce people or manipulate or convince people that they need to be over on the 3D side. Let's all be outraged. Let's all be incensed. Let's all be angry. And the collective isn't buying it because they've already gone to this side. And one thing the 3D side doesn't understand is that energy is sticky downward. So once you move energetically into a higher frequency, you can't go back down into a lower frequency. You can backslide a little bit, but you're never going to go back to that place where you've forgotten what it is to be in this higher frequency energy. So things are going to be back and forth for a while. We are going through some pretty interesting and very powerful times, but this is really the battle that we're in. It's not an information war. It's not a terror war as much as it is an energy war. What is going to be the collective energy agreement and the dominant energies that govern that agreement on the planet? And we've already decided we're going to be in 5D. We're going to be in a higher frequency, and eventually the 3D side will completely lose momentum. It will completely lose power, as it already has in a very large way. But this is what's going on with these collective energy agreements. So good work, everyone, because each one of you has been part of that process, and we are winning this battle. But we are still engaged in the battles. Don't forget that this is still ongoing. So keep those lights shining brightly, because it does help. And as much as it's hard to process all this energy yourself, remember that as you're processing your own energy, you are also processing on this collective level, as is everybody else. I hope that's helpful in understanding the importance of energy, of your emotions, of the emotional energy agreements, and how all of this works together for the collective ascension and the 3D, 5D integration. It's Jennifer Hoffman of EnlightenedLife.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.